Hello. Well, we are pretty much into 2016, and I hope all is going well for you. I know it's going pretty good for me so far. It's the time that I take to re examine the sparkle in my life and see where I am, and that's looking at life areas, the 7 life areas that I shared on another video. And I like to do that pretty much at the close of the year going into the new year so that I can see where I am, kind of assessing myself, what I need to do to kind of move myself to where I want to be, if I want to be in another space in my life, and particularly in those 7 areas. But anyhow, one of the things that has come up is happiness, people send me emails or they'll go on my Instagram and say, oh, you always seem to be so up and so happy, and how is that? And I thought I better address that because have I always been a positive person? I'm going to say pretty much. A friend of mine, he's passed on now, but he would say, how did you get here like that? You're 27 and you're so positive and you move forward and you seem to transcend boundaries. And at the time, he was almost 60. And he would say, how is it that you're like this? Well, after a while, so many people have asked me that. I don't know. It could be a talent, perhaps. But one thing I do know is that I still had to work at it. So yes, I have pretty much always seen the glass half full and knowing that it can overflow. And I learned to allow myself to allow it to overflow for the good. And so to overflow for the beauty and the joy of life. And that brings me to some of the things. And one of the things that I tend to look at a lot, and that is sparking joy in my life. So I would do a joy assessment and seeing if this person, place, or thing or situation brings me joy. And if it didn't, I could delete and move on. And this, of course, or erase back in the day and move on. And there's so many people today that are really still searching and they're looking outside of themselves. So I thought it was important that I address this because I have done personal development since 1984 and professionally since 1987 that eventually went into transformation coaching. And so it's about being transformed by renewing your mind and taking that to heart. And that means you have to think at a different level. So we all know the saying that you can't get the same, you're not going to get different results doing the same thing you've been doing for years or thinking the same way. So it just comes down to if you renew your mind by changing your thinking, you will change your life. And I have had a few people in my life who have now passed on, but their words stay with me in more ways than one, and that sparks joy. Their good thoughts sending me good energy while they were living physically on the face of this earth. They were there for me. One of them is she was my cousin, and actually Alicia, she would send me beautiful cards like this, and she passed away when we were 37. We were the same age, and I'll be 54 in April. But this beautiful card, it's so beautiful. Look at that. I love it. And she just said such dear things. May this birthday and the rest to come open awareness to what has passed and what lies ahead for the future. Life, she writes in very large capital letters, was not ours for the asking, but it was God's gift. And it's up to us to what we do with our gift of life. And I keep this because Alicia she was so dear and such a jewel to me. So I hope you have someone that has perhaps written you a letter or a card or you have written it on the tablets of your heart. And you can always go back to his or her words that have sparked joy in your life and keep those words to remember that life is a gift. It wasn't ours, it's a gift. And so, do you choose to receive the gift? Do you choose to receive it in loving kindness? Do you choose to be joyful of the gift and allow the gift to spark joy and then make more joy out of that by sparking joy in other people's lives? And then I had another dear friend, he's passed away just last year, and he says, having a friend like you means so much. And one of the things it says once in a while we find someone on whom we can depend. That's why we're really lucky, for we found ourselves a friend. And I take those words and I keep these cards. And these cards are, they've been around for a long time. But one of the things is, who can you depend on? We come here and we think, oh, my mother let me down, my father let me down, my sisters, my brother, what have you. But who can you depend on? You have to realize that you have to learn to depend on yourself. And you have to depend on yourself to spark your joy. Whether it's making a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, whether it's looking at the birds or the snowfall, whether it's just being still for the moment. You have to decide that who's my joy sparker? And it's like taking that little lighter or that little flicker that you light fires with, and you have to light the fire of your life. And be sure to know that you are worth everything. You are worth everything and more. But realize that you have to be that to yourself first. No one can do it for you. Many times I hug myself. I'll look in the mirror and, I just started doing mirror work when I was in my 20s because I was in a relationship, a marriage, and I loved my husband. He wasn't healthy for himself, but I was trying to fix him and help him because he came from a background of something that I would have never even read in a book, as I'm very watchful to what I put in my mind. So I did what I could and realized, listen, he is going to self-destruct and he's not going to take me with him. So I had to release that because it wasn't sparking joy. And I did put in almost 3 years in that relationship and lots of energy because I wanted to make this work. And I realized you have to choose to allow things to work and choose them to work for the good in your life. There are times that I bring myself flowers. I buy myself flowers. I buy myself chocolates. Now, being the chocolate aristocrat, I do get lots of chocolates, but I treat myself to very small things that spark joy in my life. And sometimes it's just hugging my cat or playing with my dog or going and volunteering at a school or a nursing home. And sometimes volunteering for myself, volunteering to me. And I'll take my roses after they've dried and I dry them and I make them pretty. Sometimes I'll spray a little spritzer of perfume on them. So listen, I just wanted to take this time to share with you to be the spark that you need to bring the joy into your life. And if you will, I'd love to share my dried roses with you. Spark joy in your life today because you do have a gift and you are a gift.